Good morning, students. Today we will have to discuss the plant part, that is angiosperm, and we have discussed previously the gymnosperm. In the classification of the plant, we have discussed that the Halophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperm and Angiosperm, which we will have to discuss today. These are the part of the plant. Halophyta, most of the plants are aquatic. Their body is not differentiated into root, shoot and leaf. Bryophyta, they are amphibious. They are also thallus-like structure. It means root, shoot and leaves are not differentiated. Pteridophyta, that is also amphibious, but not thallus-like. Here we will observe that there is a evolutionary significance. Gradually, it is going to more evolved. Gradually, it becomes more complex. Up to this, there is no any tracheids, there is no any vessels, just absence of the xylem and phloem. So they are called non-tracheophyta. And the xylem and phloem will be started. The presence of the xylem and phloem will be take place from the Pteridophyta, and these all is the tracheophytes. Now, similarly, we have observed that they are non-seeded. Seeds are not present there. And these two have seeds. If both have seed, then why you are separating it? Why not study with together? Because the seeds are formed by the gymnosperm is not covered by the pericarp, not covered by the fruit coat. So this is called naked seed, we have discussed in the case of the cycas and pinus. Now today we will have to discuss about the angiosperm, a very short structure or the very short lecture in the angiosperm, because we will have to discuss the angiospermic reproduction in 12th class and the angiospermic structure in the separate chapter that is called morphology of angiosperm plants. But we will have to discuss, we will have to complete this planty, so we must have a short idea about the angiosperm. Now, what do you mean by angiosperm? Firstly, the angiosperm means flowering plant. Flowering plant. We have discussed in the case of gymnosperm, flowers are not there. The reproductive parts are compactly formed cone-like structure. It means this flower is the reproductive part. Then how we can define this flower? Flower is a modified shoot meant for the reproduction. We have discussed in first chapter that the reproduction is of two types or the three types. One that is vegetative mode of reproduction, another that is the asexual mode of reproduction, and third one is the sexual mode of reproduction. It is not hard and fast that each and every angiosperm will be reproduced by the vegetative mode of reproduction. But certain of that angiosperm can reproduce by the vegetative mode of reproduction. But flower is the part of the plant which is responsible for the sexual reproduction. Sexual mode of reproduction. It means they have male and female part. And flower may be of the two types. One that is male flower and one other that is female flower. and third one is the both male and female. If a flower is male, then they have male reproductive organ, and they are anther and filament. If the flower is female, then they have stigma, style and ovary. This flower is called staminate flower, and this flower is called pistillate flower. Staminate flower, male flower. Pistillate flower, female flower. And the flower where both the organ is present is called bisexual or hermaphrodite. The sign of this particular male flower is this. The sign of this particular female flower is this. And the sign of the hermaphrodite flower is both male and female flower. But a typical flower have this particular part, and this is male part, male flower, and female flower have anther and filament. It is called essential. And it is called essential. But in case of this, in addition of essential, there is accessory parts also. We will discuss it. What are the accessory parts? Just like by drawing a typical flower. Suppose it is the female part of the flower having ovule. This is the stigma. This one is the style. It is ovary. And this one is the ovule. In addition to that, it has this type of structure. It has this type of structure, and it is called anther, and this one is called filament. And this is the structure of the typical hermaphrodite flower or the bisexual flower, but this is the only essential part. Now, in addition to that, certain accessory part is also present. There is a thalamus on which this particular is present. There is a this type of one of the attractive part of the flower, that is called corolla. That is called thalamus or receptacle. And in addition to that, certain small green colored leaf like structures is also present, which is the protective device for the bud, mainly is calyx. Calyx. It is also called sepal, that is called petal. So this particular corolla and calyx are called the accessory part because they are not directly involved in the reproduction, but it is involved in the reproduction. Just a few definitions in the anther we will have to study. That if you cut a section of the anther, suppose this one is the anther, and if you cut a section of the anther, then we can observe that there are two tube-like structures are present here. Suppose this one is the anther. or inside this particular, this is one is anther lobe, and this is the part where pollen grains are present. This is the anther lobe, and this is the pollen sac. So here we will see that in a typical anther, 4 pollen sacs are present, so they are called tetrathecus. But in certain cases it is bithecus also. And the pollen, which is the male gamete, will be produced here. In the case of ovule, we will see that inside the ovule, 8 cells are present. Inside this ovule, 8 cells are present. And one of them is 2N after maturation. And it is responsible to form angiosperm whenever male gamete come in contact. And it is responsible to form embryo when male gamete come to. It means 2 male gametes insert inside it, one fuse with this one fuse this one, and that will form the embryo and the angiosperm. But whenever, why it is called close-seeded? Why angiosperms are called close-seeded? It has been observed that whenever pollen grain will come in contact with this one, pollination, formation of pollen grain, fertilization will take place, then this part, all are removed. Only this much will be retained. In certain cases, it has been observed, it is also present. And this will form, this part will form seed. Okay? Here, this 2 part will call seed coat. And this will form fruit. So we can say that the fruit is the ripened ovary. And ultimately we will observe that seed have pericarp. That is the epicarp, this is the mesocarp, it is the endocarp, and this is called pericarp. And this, due to presence of this pericarp, we can say that it is closed seed which has fruits. It means in the case of gymnosperm, the seeds are formed but fruits are not been developed. So they are called naked seeded. But in the case of angiosperm, the seeds are covered by the pericarp, so it is called closed seeded. Angiosperms may be herbs, shrubs, climber, creeper or tree. But each and every have significance that they have flowers. Their seeds are covered by fruits. So they are called angiosperm. And this is one of the developed part of the plantia. And now it is observed the maximum plant which is visible by us, present in periphery of the earth, are the angiospermic plant. We will discuss their reproduction in the +2 classes and their morphology in the +1 classes after this completion of this chapter. That is all about the plantia.